Hi, I'm Eric, the Travel Guy. You know, today we brought you to a place that some describe as northern Wisconsin's finest. Break out the cheese curds. Ashland, Wisconsin is next on Beyond Your Backyard. My name is Eric Hastings. Yeah, that's me. And for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to travel, and I still do today. But you know what I've learned? There's so much more that brings us together than divides us. Which is why I've made it my mission to do the very same things you can do, but to take you beyond the experiences, to uncover the soul of every place we visit. Let me introduce you to the people, the places, and the secrets that remind us how exciting it is to share with one another, to understand one another, and to realize just how connected we really are. I am Eric the Travel Guy, and this is Beyond Your Backyard. Thank you for joining us, and welcome back. As you know by now, here on Beyond Your Backyard, we are passionate about inspiring you to get out and explore the nooks and crannies of North America and beyond. Yes, big cities, small towns, and everywhere in between. That's why we brought you here. This is Ashland, Wisconsin. You know, in our research, we were confident that this town had stories to tell. We just had to learn where to look. And boy, did we find them. That's why on today's episode, we're going to learn more about the role this great lake has played in the story of Ashland. We'll explore those historic and beautiful murals downtown. We will eat our weight in cheese curds, but we're also going to pull back the curtain and show you how the sausage gets made. Literally, we're going to get elbow deep in making delicious homemade bratwurst. Trust me, we're going to have a superior of a good time together. Let's get started. Our spectacular digital map shows us we're right here on the banks of Lake Superior, about a 90-minute drive from Duluth, Minnesota, and a 3.5 hours drive from the Twin Cities of Minneapolis-St. Paul. It's about 4 hours northwest of Green Bay and 5.5 hours northwest of Milwaukee. Renting a car is important so you can explore, and I suggest arriving in the summer or early fall. The population here has had its ups and downs throughout history, but if you're wondering how and why Ashland came to be, well, we have an expert for that. But this is a massively large downtown for such a small town.
It was a commerce town, and it is the town, it's the county seat. It did a lot of the trade from, hundreds of miles south to here. Your next biggest city going south was Wausau. That's 180 miles from here. You had 4 ore docks and 14 sawmills on this bay. You had the 3 major breweries. Here we are at the Pabst building, okay, and over there was Miller.
Hey, this was an old theater.
Yes, it was one of 5. We had 5 opera houses in this town at one point. And major people came here and stuff. They were all on the circuit. And in the old days, the big breweries owned these big buildings, and they were dance halls. And social hours, and they had bars, and they were owned by the breweries.
That's the other thing. What's with the cheese and the breweries, beer specifically, and the sausages? Why is
Germans, my dear, the ancestry of Milwaukee. Up here we have a lot of the Norwegian and the Finlander and that kind of stuff, and a fair amount of German immigrants came here,
I
too.
had lutefisk for breakfast, by the way.
You did really?
No.
You did not.
What year are we working with? Is it 1854, 1850?
We're starting with the early 1800s. Okay. It started with logging. And then in 1887, the railroad came up here, and that would be Wisconsin Central. We also had the docks. We were shipping starting in the early 1800s.
Ore primarily?
Ore and lumber. We were to be like many cities, the next Chicago.
I'm always fascinated about why does the town look the way it does? So why does Ashland look this way today?
All downtown started like a boom town kind of thing, and there were the typical architectural, the stick-style buildings, which we called false front or the boom town, to make them look bigger and more important than they were. We had, as prosperity started to come, you wanted to show a sense of permanence so that you start getting more substantial buildings going up, and especially banks were usually the leaders in that changing from wood to stone.
To stone.
Right.
The sense of permanence, that's to show permanence, that this town basically said, no, we're going to stay here. And in order to put down roots here, you had to use more than just wood. but it's almost like somebody had to take a first step, and it is a psychological thing.
Totally a psychological thing. One of the things that we look at around here is these bigger stone buildings face north. It's like, okay, Mother Nature, we're going to take you on,
Right.
because it was brutal up here. I mean, it's still sometimes pretty brutal up
Yeah.
here. And so it was a defiance and a sense of permanence that we have stuck our feet in this ground, and we are staying. We are not going anywhere.
And doesn't the temperature have something to do with all of this?
The winters are challenging, and the next time any provisions or mail or things like that was not until the ice went out on the bay. So you had 5-6 months sometimes as an early settler here that you had to just like each other.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a whole lot else going on.
Right.